Always true.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
U Beogradu je ponovo bio albanski premijer Edi Rama. Zajedno sa svojim srpskim kolegom pohvaljen je za popravljanje odnosa. Za Al Jazeeru je govorio o Srbiji, Kosovu, položaju Albanije u regionu, ali i izazovima s kojima se suočava, poput kritika o kontroverznom uvozu smeća ili materijala za reciklažu i ilegalnog uzgoja droge u Albaniji. Prime Minister Edi Rama, thank you very much for your time and welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
You met again with Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić, and considering the history between Albania and Serbia, many people say that nowadays your relationship with Prime Minister Vučić is good. How do you see it?
It's very good. We have a very open and straightforward relation in which we discuss about things we don't agree and about many things that we agree and we want to work together on and move forward.
But we still haven't seen large improvement in terms of the economy.
Listen, I want to remind you that on the 14th of October 2 years ago, in this country was a big blow after a football game. And it seemed like a third war will start and Serbia and Albania will be on the trenches. And it's only 2 years later, exactly 2 years, that we are in a completely different place. And by the way, we have together taken the initiative to support the creation of Serbian-Albanian Chamber of Commerce. First. Secondly, we have been together working on an action plan to ease trade among our countries. So things are changing very fast. And let me tell you also that we are seeing an increase of numbers of tourists from Serbia to Albania. The flight Tirana, Belgrade and back is full. And things are very positive in that sense. So, of course.
Are those substantial things for you?
If going from the edge of a new conflict to a completely new path of cooperation is not substantial, I don't know what is substantial then.
Why is it so important for you as the Albanian Prime Minister, you're Prime Minister of Albania, for Serbia to recognize Kosovo officially?
First of all, I strongly believe that it's very important for the people of both Albania and Serbia, and of course for the people of Kosovo who are Albanians. They are our brothers, our sisters, and we live in two different states, but we are one nation.
But also you have to be aware of the fact that in Serbia, many people think that it will be insulting, and Constitution also forbids it, for Serbia to recognize Kosovo.
Listen, Constitution is written by people and it's changed by people.
And people think so in large numbers.
Moments of history. Now, as a matter of fact, Kosovo is nowadays a state, and it's gone, and it will never be back. So, what will be the best for the happiness of people of Kosovo and of people of Serbia, and first and foremost of Serbs in Kosovo and Albanians in Serbia, to live in this kind of big uncertainty about each other's states, or to live in clarity and to work together.
You also quite often mention it's a reality that Serbia has to face. Is it also a reality for Kosovo and Albania to form one state at some point, as you said?
I think
I will
we
quote you.
are-
You said within the EU or outside it.
I think that our strategic interest is to work shoulder to shoulder, all of us in the region, Albanians of Albania, Albanians of Kosovo, Serbs, Montenegrins, Macedonians, Bosniaks, to reach the goal of being part of the European Union, not because someone is asking us to do so, but because our children
You said that already. I will
deserve
refer
it.
you to my
So
question.
our children deserve now, but this is not only based on what we want and what we can do. It's based also on what EU want and what EU can do. And
So,
I said,
one state, Greater Albania, what do you
and
think?
I repeat it. Thinking about being together in the old way is totally out of time. But a blind policy of integration that can bring to disintegration in EU itself can automatically bring all of us back in old times and in old ways. This is what I meant. I didn't want to say that this is my option or this is my dream. I wanted to say, and I repeat, we are all threatened by our history, in the sense that we can find the ghosts of history in front of us. And if we find them in front of us, then again, the past can decide on
Okay,
our future.
so we are still far away from the answer to my question. Are you saying that should Kosovo and Albania do not join EU, they should unite?
No, I am saying that we want to live all together under the EU roof, the big family of European nations roof. And EU should understand it also and should be strategic about that, not just for Albanians, but also for Serbs, also for the others.
But EU is in great challenges right now. I'm asking you again.
Yeah, but this is one of the challenges, and this is my point. If EU do not see it as one of the challenges of its own future, for the sake of its safety and its security, and it's instead victim of populisms and of temptations to get more and more closed in its own borders, it will harm the EU itself, because
So your option is not Greater Albania. You would rather see European integration.
it has never been, because I strongly believe that Greater Serbia, Greater Albania, Greater whatever is what the past has left us in the memories. What we need to do is to build a great, really a great region of opportunities, of prosperity, and of equal chances for everyone. And this is doable, in my view, if we all build EU member states.
And many people in Kosovo, since we're talking about it, were criticizing you for coming to Belgrade, giving the last developments between Belgrade and Pristina. How do you respond to that?
Listen, when I came in Belgrade 2 years ago, no one wanted me to come. And it was the same. I left Tirana as a traitor. And when I went back, I was a hero. But I am neither a traitor or a hero. I'm simply a man of convictions, doing the great job and having the great honor to be in this job. And I will come to Belgrade as many times as I'll think it's necessary.
Many people also in Kosovo are criticizing you for treating, and I will quote, Kosovo as Albanian province. Do you perceive that way?
No, I said, and I always abided to that for me, it was unacceptable that in the past Tirana was tempted to patronize or to tutor Pristina. We are two states, and they have their elected leaders, and it's up to their elected leaders to run their state.
Who do you represent when you are outside Kosovo and Albania? Only your citizens or Albanians from Kosovo also?
In our constitution, it's an obligation for the Albanian Republic to protect the interests of every Albanian out of the borders. So I'm respecting our constitution. And listen, it's not at the end about only that. It's also about Serbs in Kosovo. I've always said that the government in Kosovo should do everything possible to make the Serbian people living in Kosovo happy. And same goes for the government in Belgrade.
Isn't that patronizing?
Should do everything possible to make Albanians in Serbia happy. And it's not patronizing, it's thinking about how we can have a much better place in our region, because our fates are much more interconnected than we think, and our future is much more interconnected than we can even imagine.
You were advocating that Albanians in southern Serbia should have the same rights as Serbs in Kosovo.
Absolutely.
Why don't you measure the rights of Albanian minority in other countries by standards of minorities in your own country?
I can tell you with a lot of pride, and this is not, I don't take any credit for that, but I think this is the tradition of our country, that minorities in Albania have always been treated absolutely equally with everyone else. And let me remember you that we are a country where many Muslim families were the saviors of Jews during the Second World War, and we are the only country in Europe that counted more Jews after the war than before the war.
So we are aware of that. But the minority population in the country is shrinking, and according to Instat, it's less than 1.5% now. They have a lot of issues, and they are saying that they don't have, for instance, their representatives in the parliament, guaranteed spots, for instance.
Listen.
EU report also said that Roma people and Egyptians are highly discriminated in Albania.
Listen, I can guarantee you that every average Albanian has a lot of issues, because we are not a country where Albanians are living in full prosperity and minorities are suffering.
That's
we are
true,
not a country where...
When you compare it to majority and minority, we know what are minority issues.
And I'm telling you that yes, we had troubles with Roma people, but never, ever, we didn't have any expression of racism or whatever against them. But troubles that were connected to the fact that they are poor and they have a certain way of living about which we were not able in many years to take real care, but not because we had anything against them.
Why don't you have minority seats guaranteed in your parliament, for instance?
I don't see any minority in our country having any problem when it comes to their language, when it comes to their flag, when it comes to their tradition, when it comes to whatever. And we don't have let's say, seats aside for anyone, and this is something that has been always accepted like it is, and this is something that has to do also with the fact that we have adopted a system, an electoral system that practically allows minorities to have a fair competition, and we have Greek minority in parliaments.
You have Greek minority on major lists. You don't have like guaranteed seats for minorities.
We don't. No.
How do you perceive Albania in terms of the Western Balkans? Sometimes it seems to us that you're much more directed towards Italy, Greece, traditional partners of yours, and we see Albania less in these regional initiatives. Do you think is it like that?
Fair question. Let me tell you, in full humbleness, of course, that we were the first government to approach the big question of growth and jobs and prosperity as a question of market size. So beyond, of course, the European project of peace and our traditional attitude of promoting peace and stability in the region, we approached it also as a market size issue, because we are all small markets. So if we want really to go beyond this daily local struggle of percentages of growth that will not impact consistently the life of our citizens, we need to work together to have a bigger market. We have made of this Western Balkan process a priority since the day one. It was very fortunate that this approach that was already part of our program coincided with Angela Merkel's new approach towards the Balkans, and coincided with also the period I was preparing the visit here. So all things became together in one place, and I think, yes, you are right, we didn't do much to see the region as an area of opportunities, but now we are doing much more.
And since you're talking about Kosovo, and you already mentioned the incidents in the football match in Belgrade, you said that something like that could have never happened if the game was to be played in Albania.
I'm telling you, if and I'm sure of it, if this stupid drone would have flied over the pitch with whatever Serbian imagination, Albanian people would have simply laughed and nothing.
But I would also like to remind you about the fact that you said that what happened in the Serbian field here in the stadium, that if Albanian fans chanted something like that in Albania, that you would have left the stadium at that point. We had a similar situation in Shkodra last week, where the fans chanted "Kill the Serbs." How did you perceive that?
Which fans?
Fans at the Kosovo-Croatia football match.
You mean the Croatians or the Albanians?
Both.
I didn't hear Albanians chanting "Kill Serbs." And I don't understand your language, so I can't understand what maybe Croatian fans have said. But I'm telling you,
both fans were saying they divided it. Albanian supporters were involved in that incident.
I didn't hear that, but I'm telling you, you don't need to bring me to the Kosovo-Croatia football pitch. It's enough to stay in the Albania-Serbia football pitch in the game that was played back in Elbasan, and where, believe me, every Serb was astonished.
But we're not talking about that game. Nobody mentioned that game. But this game that was last week, and it is also part of relationship between Serbs and Albanians.
You're talking to me about Albanians of Kosovo now. I'm talking about Albanians in Albania, and what I
you said that you represent them all because it's in Albanian constitution.
Yeah, of course. But what I said then and what I repeat now was, if this drone would have flied upon the pitch in Albania, we would simply have laughed.
Elections are approaching, and you promised renaissance for Albania when you came to power. Many people feel nowadays in Albania that you let them down when you talk about that renaissance.
We'll see in the elections how many people feel that way and how many people feel differently. But Renaissance is not a dream that becomes true after having had a nice sleep. It's a struggle. It's a path of very difficult reforms, and it's a way in which results will not come so easily. It's not for nothing that we got candidate status after having failed 3 times or 4 times in a row. And it's not for nothing that we are having to get in few weeks the positive recommendation from the Commission to start negotiations. So this shows all about what we did in 3 years.
And I will turn you to one of the hot topics in Albania. It is the import of garbage to Albania.
There is no import of garbage to Albania.
Raw materials. So
there is only a piece of legislation which is far more restricted than what you have in Serbia, far more restricted than what all the countries in the region have.
We don't talk about countries. Many people fear that Albania will become a garbage dump for Europe.
This is simply the most restrictive piece of legislation in the region, let alone Europe, about recycling industry. Point. All the rest is nonsense.
Many people mind that you have shifted your vocabulary from
Many
from before your mandate, calling it, for instance, garbage, waste, and materials.
No.
People are afraid that
Yeah,
in a situation in Albania, where corruption is a high matter, it can be misused. That legislation can be misused.
First, corruption is not a high matter in Albania. Is the simply common matter of every country that has not modernized in many years, and that is in the path of modernization. Secondly, yes, people fear that. People are wrong, and people will see day by day, as they are seeing, because in the first moment it was like a blow, and now it's much more normal. But they'll realize that this is nothing to do with it. So this kind of paranoia, build it on a high sensibility because of a difficult past, will evaporate.
Then why did it raise so many controversies?
Because of the past, and because of the fact that in the past there were several temptations and some attempts from previous governments to open the way to importation of garbage for incineration or for burial. So this is what we defined very clearly in the law, that this is completely forbidden.
And what about the negative media attention that turns to Albania often when it comes to dealing with growing of cannabis in Albania? There are also reports that after Lazarat, there were many other fields that are still functioning, and opposition at some point mentions a lot that the criminals are actually involved with the police in that matter.
Listen, until Donald Trump showed up in the scene, I thought that our opposition was unique in the world. But when I heard Donald Trump saying that Bill Clinton Foundation is a criminal organization, then I said, okay, there is a trend.
Let's go back to Albania.
There is a trend of sickness in politics. There's not a unique for Albania. So I can say only this, that I find it sick.
How big of a problem is that, the cannabis growing, for instance, the drug trafficking and narcotics trafficking in Albania?
It's a problem that was there since ages. We had the guts to open the fight with it and to make it transparent.
Once again, elections are approaching. It is tradition almost here in the Balkans that neighborly relations are getting worse during the election campaign. Will we see that in Albanian elections? I guess not, but
no. I think I'm worried about relations between Serbia and Kosovo to not deteriorate once the leadership here and the leadership there has had the courage and the will to open a dialogue and to work for it. So I hope this will go on. We very much support this dialogue. Our relation, I cannot tell you that our relations are completely independent in the spirit and in the quality from your relations with Kosovo, because I would lie. So yes, relations, the quality of relations between Serbia and Kosovo influences also the quality of our relation. But at the end of the day, we'll never be in this relation the part that creates problems.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Faleminderit.
Always trust.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?